Okay, here we are back with the binder clip purses. If you saw the other video, you know that you take paper or fabric and cut it to fit right up in there and put some sides on, and you end up with the little trimmings, you end up with this wonderful purse right here. And I'm going to show you a bunch more. And so this I call my Doris Day collection because of the colors. Because if you recall Doris Day from the 50s through the 60s, there she is in that DVD. There James Garner is, very young. And she quickly went much blonder, and so she wore these bright pastels, really nice outfits. And so her career was always about being the working woman and struggling with what women wanted versus what men wanted, and all the misadventures that happened along the way. And they were just zany blockbusters. All of her movies were good. And so that's what this reminds me of, these colors. And of course the pillbox hat. That was such a hallmark for the 60s. And so I thought we would make one. But first, you need something to put your hat on. So you have, if you have these in your stash, I just cut this off right in here, painted it white, so this one would work. Either of these kind of clothespins. And I also wanted to show you, this is one of the things that we're going to make. And this is a portfolio, and I just have it glue dotted. And this is fun because it actually has drawings in it. Hey, yay! And so here's purses, here's some hats, and there's some belts. This took me about 5 minutes to draw, so not great, but fun. So draw yourself up some pictures, artwork, whatever you want, and put it in your portfolio. And there you go. Fun. And we left off at the Hatboxes, and I had made this one from scratch and showed you, that it was made from a ribbon roll and then just cardboard cereal box kind of stuff, macaroni and cheese. So I didn't paint. I was going to cover this, but I didn't because it's not too big for a hat by any means, because they wore wide brim hats in Hollywood, but it's too big for my shadow box. So I went back to these that I had gotten at Hobby Lobby years ago, and they're made of shaved wood. So if you have these in your stash, yay! And you can make a hat box there, or you'll just need to cut down on the size of the ribbon roll that you start with to make your box, if you have a small space. And while we're at that, so we had made this purse. Well, I did, and I was showing it to you. And I didn't have any trim on the sides because I said the paper worked out so great. This is basketball paper and scrapbooking, and it turned out so good I didn't have to. But then I had put the brown leather or pleather strap handle on it, so I went ahead and put brown. Kind of reminds me of Dooney and Burke, Dooney and Duke. And so then I made the belt, and this is just a head pin, just twisted around. And then, you put this little fob thing on it to look like the high-end purses. Okay, and so this I hadn't made, so I did make this to go with it, and I just had some vinyl paper. A friend had given me some actual paper, wallpaper, that's got a vinyl finish, and I thought that was kind of neat colors together, the brown and the orange. And so I went ahead and put gold. I used just a paint pen on the inside to do gold, because these don't have enough room to put the paper all the way up, so you do have to color in. So let's see what is in here. Oh, could it be a pillbox hat? Yay! Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. These pillbox hats, they surprisingly, they did have a variety. And all the airline stewardesses all wore them. If you recall those days of when they called them airline stewardesses before they called them flight attendants. So it has a little bow on the back and just looks like a bottle cap and some trim. And do you remember, like in the movies, you probably have seen this. I'm sorry, I have like some kind of brown Sharpie marker on my fingernail bothering me. So you might have seen this with the flowers. Do you recall where they do the pillbox and then it's just covered in flowers? And that was popular in the 60s. I can't imagine wearing one of those. But they're, they're fun. I'm going to have to try to make one. I want to make a couple of different hats. So we're going to make this as well as the portfolio. So let me show you a few other things. Now, speaking of hats, I do have a couple of hats. I have a whole bunch of hats in my boutique, but this one is one of my favorites of the 60s, and it's all feathers. And I just took a hat form, one of those mesh little hat forms, and then covered it with satin and put the feathers in and then did a little satin bow. But fun colors. I love these colors together. Red and pink and orange. That was popular. That and aqua. All popular during those times. And then there was the hat, for the wide brims. There was the hat that had the hole, There was that one. So that's just one of those crocheted forms with a bunch of lace on it. But see, that's why I say, these boxes are way small, but I have never seen a big box that would accommodate, a hat this size in any dollhouse. They're always smaller than the hats would actually be if they were wide brim. So I had some other things. This is another piece of that vinyl, different kind of vinyl paper, but it's actual wallpaper. And so I made this, and I just wanted to show you how cute it is to have it all be black, but yet shiny. So if you put some Mod Podge, glossy Mod Podge or something on there, and then do your one rhinestone in your catch that just sparkles. And these are just beads on a head pin. But very simple and cute. And then I had all of these charms. I bought a whole bunch of charms and I sold some just to kind of, help me, because I had bought so many different kinds, to be shoes. So look how cute these charms turn out to be with, shoes for our dollhouse stuff. And, I've said this before, if you do your paper the color of your floor, then they can sit next to the bed and sit up wherever you display them. Just do them the color of where they're sitting. But those are really cute. It's weird because Barbie's got such small feet that it looks like Barbie scale, but it's really not Barbie if she was proportionate. And then I made like a little, I showed you how to make the little pocketbook. I guess you'd call that, well, it's not going to stay. Little pocketbook in the last video. And then I had, you have to have some bangles, some jewelry to go with your purses. Oh, nothing wants to stay on my hand. So these are kind of large, but I don't know how to get them, you might try to make them smaller, like I guess they could be like a little rhinestone or something and make them smaller, but I might have made these for Barbie, I can't recall. Because I was in this mode of making Barbie jewelry at one point. And so I also had these. And I wanted to show this to you because I may try to make these if I can find the right fabric. And I couldn't figure out what fabric this is. And these are that cottage industry that's made here. I have the little whisk broom of theirs that's so cute. And these are those 60s gloves that, well, let me see if I can separate them. See, I think they called them driving gloves, or they were flared out here and not short at the wrist. They came past the wrist. And because these are black, you can't really see they're folded over, and then they have the thumb. Let's see if we can see the thumb. See, because they're black. So then you cut the little thumb out and glue it on. So we might try to make these, but gosh, these were $5, 20 years ago or so. Kind of expensive. But cute. Very cute. And these are another cute pair. These are kind of the Mary Jane of shoes. And I had spray painted all these black and silver and gold, and so they're just great for putting with your purses. Oh, this is one of my purses I really like. It's just some ruffle. I actually put the handles of the binder clip down into the binder clip after I finished the ruffling. But so I had some ribbon that had some ruffles, and so I just cut it in half and then put the ruffle layers, and it just goes in a circle, and then some decor at the top. But, kind of a teen, maybe a teen purse. This one's kind of a teenager's purse too. And it's a binder clip, but it's got a flap. So the flap just comes over and down. And pink was such a popular color. And here's the little necklace with the silver flower pearl. And then the little sandal charms. Aren't those cute? And I see these a lot, these little shoe charms. I guess they do earrings. And then I had this little necklace that had a little rhinestone on the end. And this is on a head pin, easy just to pop it around your doll's neck if you make one. And this one, I made it to where, let's see, it goes around the neck and in the front, and then you kind of push it together so it's a higher neck, and then you can put a little bead or whatever you want on the, dangling down. And I did this red purse, so I just want to show you. I finished it. Just a little binder clip. And then have red shoes to match. Yes, you can just get carried away. I don't know if you've seen the little passports, but those are a nice little addition. See, this one's metal, but I have seen paper ones, little book at Hobby Lobby. But that's a nice addition to your collection of these pieces, is to add a passport. Okay, so let me clear this out and we'll get started on the hat. And okay, so I have this piece. It's just 3 pieces, and then your little trim, which I showed you is the braided cotton. So I have this piece that is used for the back. You can just see what shape it is. Just real simple, kind of looks like a cheesy mustache. And what you want to do, you'll end up with it like this, is just wrapping. Take your paintbrush after you've cut it out, just fold this and bring your points in and glue them one at a time. Glue your points, glue the first one and keep it fluffed out. That's what you're fluffing it out by putting it on here. And I did super glue. I think super glue holds it a little quicker, better. And so it'll, be like that. But I wanted it to get done. And then for the hat part, I have, this is my template. So I've cut it out of the material, the paper. This is kind of a heavy paper. So this is the other piece of template. Just a circle, kind of a smile. Because we're coming down a little bit, angled down from the top. And you're basically, I don't know if we even need to do this. It's so simple, is you're bringing this around. I would put the glue around the edges of this. We can do that. Right, you kind of have to hold it a bit to see, just dot the glue around. Just dot it around the edge, but you will kind of need to hold it until it grabs. Let's see if I can do it on camera. Nope, I don't think I can, but I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to put this together and then try to fit that into it. Wow. Okay, so we're going to put this together kind of like a collar or something, dog collar, and then fit that in. See, this is why I show y'all things and just show you what the template looks like, because this is a hot mess. Look at this. This is such a hot mess here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you'll be able to do this when you don't have a camera in front of you and glue on your fingers. So you get the idea. You're making just a little cap, but with it coming out angled. And then the next thing is to glue your little piece on the back. And I do trim this, which is just simple. Just dot your glue all the way around and run your trim around it. But I didn't put trim on this. You can try that if you like. But I did take a darker marker, and this one I did white. I actually put, that's pretty strong on there. But if you can see, it's got a little tiny bit of white pen. So to make it look like it had trim. So you can put dark if you want to put dark, or put lighter, whichever color, just around the edge to make it look like it matches your trim. So let's pretend like we finished that. Boy, that was a real hot mess. So those are fun. So I have to find some more 60s hats. I'm going to have to watch one of these Doris Day movies for sure. They're so zany and fun. Do you remember her, the glass bottom boat? That is really funny. Let me show you the outfit she's wearing. She's dressed like a mermaid. Isn't that funny? That's zany. And it's just so campy, but, fun for the times. And then, of course, there was the 3 collection of her and Rock Hudson. And that was definitely power struggles. And so lots of fun. Just lots of fun. Okay, so the next thing of the portfolio, I went ahead and cut one out to match the orange and the brown combination. And it's super simple. But let me show you the template after I hit the camera. I'm having trouble here. I feel like I'm all squeezed into this little area here. with a whole bunch of junk back behind here. I'm telling you, I've got that dollhouse going on, so I have, it's not going to work this way with everything everywhere. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So basically you're talking about a rectangle. And let me tell you the size of the rectangle. It's 3 1/4 by 2 3/4 inch. 2 3/4, 3 1/4, and then add a flap. And basically about 1/4 inch, but you know, it's where your flap is right here that you fold in. And then you'll bring the bottom up and hold this with your fingers while you try to press in an inverted pleat. And if it leans a little forward, that's okay. You know, I mean, you don't want this to lean forward, but if the pleat is a little bit forward, you know, play with it. But you don't want this, you don't want it to lean forward and fall over. So keep redoing your pleat if that's the case. So here it is in the brown color. And so I just folded it in, hold this up in place, and I just took my thumbnail and kind of pushed up in here to get this pleat in place, and then made sure it was I had to push it in a little bit more on the sides. And then I really think the Fabri-Tac might be your best bet if you have it, because it's a quicker grab, you know, if it's an older Fabri-Tac. And you want to come into the inner edge. Don't go, it's got all the strands on it. Don't go down in here. Just stay up here with your glue. And we're trying to make it look like it has the sides to it. And then pull this up and hold it long enough for it to grab. Now, if you're going to put your portfolio things, you know, your little cards with drawings or artwork, whatever in there, then you'll want it to be open. So you don't want to get the glue inside. You don't want it on the inside of your paper. You just want it to stay, you know, within right in there, but not inside here, or you won't be able to push anything down in there. Okay, so then when that's done, now on this one, it blended too much where I couldn't really see the flap. So I went ahead and took a Sharpie marker and drew the brown. See the little brown line? But you can also take your trim, you know, and just do your trim around that section if it'll highlight it, or you can take a gold marker and go gold or silver to match. Okay, so let me put this Fabri-Tac away because it's just squeezied out here all over the place. And I wouldn't expect anything less. Okay, so now I have a little half of a piece of a jewelry finding that I want to put on here, and so I can go down with it, I can go up with it, and here's what it looks like. These are really great. This jewelry finding, you can put it on the front of the purses, you can cut those little side rings off, you can you know, break it in half using your pliers on each side, or use it all together, and it looks good this direction. And it comes in gold and silver, and I just got it off eBay, so you'll be able to find it. And it's only like 1/4 by maybe, oh, look at that glue. I got too much glue. Of course I did, and it's super glue. Okay. So let me wipe that off. Let me try to get some of this glue off. Oh, now I got glue on my hand. I know if you're a maker watching this, you're laughing because You know, you've had this experience where everything is happening. Okay, so then I got glue on the vinyl. Well, kind of came off, so good, yay. Okay, so this is on crooked because it's already grabbing. Well, okay, I'm trying to push this into place because I got the glue. The glue just, this is a new bottle of glue, and that happens. It's happened over and over again with this bottle. Okay, so there's the little catch. And then I'm going to do a glue dot. Just a little glue dot, and because this is vinyl, it'll work okay. And I've used the black one. I've had a glue dot on it for all this time. And speaking of glue dots, I want to talk about that, but let me show you this. I'm using this Loctite, and just, you know, just turning it upside down has made it come out so liberally from the time that I opened it. I don't know what's going on, but just, you know, it's a good glue, but you don't need to push at all on these handles if yours is coming out like that. And then I also want to tell you, be sure when you're pushing on these handles and there's no more glue, that you cut this open with your wire cutters, because there is a third more glue in there. Use these flush cutters, wire cutters. Just push that underneath there and break it. And then you'll have to cut right in here too to pull it off. But there's a third more glue in here after it quits putting out glue. I promise you. It's never failed to be there. It's the design that when you push these in, it pushes the glue up, and then they can't push anymore. And then there's this much glue right there. So, having said that, we've got this finished. Just need to put our pictures in it or something. So, let me show you what I'm doing with all of this. And I think I need to get this out of the way so that I'll have the room to show it to you. I've got pieces everywhere. I've got it stuck to my hand. Okay, so I found this really tiny shadow box at a thrift store a long time ago, and I had to repaint it. And the problem that came up was the glue dots turned to liquid and yellow. I don't know if this was the first of the glue dots, but they turned really yellow and liquidy. And so against this color, they were all over everything. So you see if I can pop the back off of this and pick up what fell over. Okay. So this mirror just goes in here, sets in here, because it doesn't match with anything else. This was just a wonderful find. And I repainted it just recently to get it more white because it was kind of creamy off-white. And now you see why I call it the Doris Day, because it's got all of her colors and her color scheme. And then I did pink on the back, just scrapbook paper that I just glued onto the backing. And there it is. Needs some light though, now that I think about it. Looks like it could use some light. Because it looks rather dark from this. Well, it didn't look so dark earlier. But I put little shelves on the side with just using dollhouse trim. And it's got little shoes, little purses, little pocketbooks, necklaces. And down at the bottom has little more hat boxes. just a variety. But I think it needs more light. It didn't seem so dark. And then I'll glue this backing on. It does have the cord that goes across it so you can hang it. You know, it can be hung on the wall as well. So, see all the little pretties. The bangles and the shoes and the perfumes and nail polish. And even a clock. She doesn't want to be late to work. And then the orange that I did in the last video. And the blue purse that fell over. The sparkle purse. Okay, so that's what I have. We'll get back to the dollhouse building after this. And I'm going to do a few more accessories if you want to tune in. Thanks so much. Please subscribe if you haven't. And keep watching. Bye-bye.